So, something that I've wanted to talk about lately, and I don't know where to start. I don't even know how much of a topic it is, but I'm experiencing some burnout. And I don't even know if it's burnout. The burnout already happened. I'm referring to collecting burnout.
Game collecting
Burnout. And it's not with all systems, you know. I think I kind of want this to be a more open discussion. Hopefully people will comment in the comment section or take it to Twitter, but you know, have you ever just found yourself at the end of your interest with a system?
No.
Or at the end of owning. Let me say not playing, but owning things for the system. Because that's what's happening to me with Nintendo. I started collecting Nintendo. Bought a ton of it, right?
What year did you start
98.
collecting? So about the time I started buying stuff.
I had, my games from being a kid, but 97, sure. I would say probably 97 was when I started buying games from my friends in high school. And then, 98 was when I started buying a lot. And, young kid, tons of money. Not tons, but like I worked I had my own job and I had no rent. That's what I mean. So all of my income was disposable.
Which is where collecting comes from.
All of my income was disposable. I just started buying everything because I wanted this full set. And I created this monster and I pared it down many years ago, about 3-4 years ago, to about 100 games.
Wait, what was it at its peak?
425?
That's a good collection.
Or 400.
And you got most of that without even eBay, right?
None of it was eBay.
That's commendable.
None of it was eBay. Now I'm thinking. Yeah, none of it was eBay. A couple of them were trades online with people, but none of it was eBay purchased. It was pretty much all flea market finds. So,
nice.
I pared it all down, and I was like, these are the games I want to hold, but I just find here's the thing, I find my love of going back and playing old games growing a lot more. I find my attachment to the physical object less, which is strange because and this is what I'm so confused about. It's not that way with my PC Engine collection. Maybe because I've curated my PC Engine collection. Maybe because I know that anything I walk up to on my PC Engine is something I'm going to want to play. I haven't lost any interest in my records. Records are things that I've been collecting longer than NES games or anything else. I love my records, but is it because I curated my record collection more instead of just going out and buying, whatever stacks I could?
Versus Nintendo, where you just got everything willy-nilly.
Right, and even when I pared it down, it still just didn't look right or perfect to me. And I've gotten to the point, and here's what it's funny because I mentioned I bought some new music equipment this week.
Yeah.
My friend Lincoln, who brought over the hard drive and cartridge. I told him I was thinking about, really getting rid of more of my Nintendo stuff, and if he wanted to look at any of it, he could.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going through, and he's like, got some cool stuff in here still, and he goes, ooh, Power Blade 2. It's like, that's about $200. I'm like, yeah, well, the label condition's not great. He's like, you can still get $175 for it. And I was thinking, well, there was one other piece of music gear I wanted, and I was like, what else do I have in there that's worth anything? And he picked out, 2 other games, and I was just like, I immediately found my attachment to them to be non-existent. I'm like,
the monetary value is like, it's fuck it.
Well, here's the deal. I could have made up that monetary value with something like my Rondo of Blood, but I wouldn't part with my Rondo of Blood, So it's odd, and I wonder if anyone else has ever found themselves at an end with a system. What am I going to do? I'm probably going to get a Power Pack or an EverDrive if they ever do an NES one, or a Famicom EverDrive, and I'm going to still play and enjoy the games because these are the games I enjoy. I'm still going to work on my PC Engine collection, but I think I've just hit the end of the road with Nintendo, and I can't...
Is it because... No, okay, you didn't really explain why, though. Is it because that the monetary value got to the place where you can say, screw it, it's not worth having anymore?
No.
Or is it the fact that you're saying, I'm not playing them, plus the monetary...
It's the... I'm not using the cartridges anymore. It could be part of my home
But is
setup.
that just Nintendo, though? Or what if you're not using a TurboGrafx game?
I use my TurboGrafx at least a couple times a month, if not a couple times a week.
But you don't play Nintendo anymore?
I do, but for whatever reason, maybe it's because of the location of where I keep my games, maybe it's because of my home setup, I'll fire them up on my computer. I went back to using emulators, which was something I never did. Yeah. And I don't want to keep doing that. Like, I'd like to get a Power Pack or something, but I don't know what it was. But it's not money. I don't want it to come across as greedy. Like, when he was like, oh, you can get $175 for that, I'm like, well... F it, this is music equipment, but the other stuff that I'm looking to get rid of, I've got a lot of stuff with faded top labels or top labels that are non-existent from getting them from, flea markets. I'll probably bundle them up and sell them as a player's pack of, good stuff. I've got Shadow the Ninja. Great game. Goes for a little bit.
The label's not the best?
Label's not the best. I'll put them together. It's just, It's not the money, it's the space.
Bring in the MagFest.
Yeah, it's not the money, it's the space, it's the fact that, like I said, it's not money, but
Get one of these
what
nice
I do
shelves.
get, I could put towards something that I care about more, records or PC Engine. I don't know. It's weird and it's kind of sad because for years I was known as in high school as that guy who collected NES games.
But that happens to everyone. But I'm just going to question though, when you say Burnout, you haven't been actively seeking out NES titles for as long as I've pretty much known you.
Sure, I should.
Besides the Rockin' Cats I got you from Portland a few years ago, I can't think of another new NES game you got.
Which is one I would keep, and I bought Snoopy's Silly Sports Spectacular after our first marathon because I liked it, and I'll keep that too because it's Snoopy and it's whatever. But yeah, that's another thing I should put. I've been wrestling with this for 8 years.
8 years?
8 years.
Well, glad it's been that long because now the prices are highest than they've ever been.
And like I said, I haven't stopped playing NES games. I've just my
Christ.
attachment to the cartridges,
The physical cartridges, you're saying,
is gone away.
Screw it. But that's almost like, I hate to say it, in physical media in general, this could be the last generation that really cares about physical media a lot.
Well, and I like I said, I love physical media. I wouldn't get rid of my records. My PC Engine collection's not going anywhere. I think what it's coming down to is people are going to have to look at their physical media, right? I mean, I live in California with my fiance on a basic wage. I only have so much space. We have to start picking and choosing the physical media we want. So, back then you limited your hobbies. Now we can get digital versions of so much of this that it's like, what do I keep that's physical? What do I keep that's digital? When in the end, I still have a controller in my hand and I'm still playing the game anyway.
I'm probably going to pare down my Super Nintendo collection. Probably my N64 collection. The thing about N64 is it's not. I could have probably had a complete library by now. I have the hardest to
Just
find
no
game.
interest.
I have Sculptor's Cut.
Yeah.
After that, it's all downhill, relatively easy.
Yeah, because even the next most expensive one, like Worms Armageddon, is only like 60.
60.
Did you get that one from us, by the way?
Yes, I think I did. So, or maybe. Anyway, there's like, whatever, 3 or 4 games that are like $50, $60. After that, it's nothing. But why do I need it, though? And you always say that about everything I buy, but this is my love, though. This is console as a kid. I didn't have N64 as a kid. Super Nintendo, I had like 8 games and played computer more. So why do I have, I probably have 250 Super Nintendo titles, and I have over 125, over like half the library of N64. Why? I have 220 Genesis games. Like, I'm never gonna play them. I'm not gonna play them.
Yeah.
I know that. So again, I can just get the EverDrive for Genesis. I can get the Super Nintendo Power Pack
and keep what you love.
N64 one doesn't exist, I don't think. An EverDrive.
It does.
Does it?
Yeah, now it does. Which is pretty remarkable.
No,
actually.
and I'm running out of room. I have some cool, nice box Super Nintendo stuff. That takes up a lot. For every Super Nintendo game that's in a box, that's like 2 loose games, right there. At least with the depth that it takes. So yeah, you're right.
I wonder if my job is part of it too, because
you're always around it.
Because Nintendo is super popular and I'm always around it. And you work at a game store long enough, you make a career out of it, and you just start looking at the place you work at as like this ever rotating collection.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I mean, it's what it is.
There's highs and lows for different systems.
So, I don't know, and I really enjoyed my time with the Nintendo. I love all that stuff. Like I said,
don't tear up on
no,
me.
I'm not. I was trying not to burp.
I think you're getting.
I was trying not to burp.
A little verklempt.
But yeah, I've just been around it. I'm gonna see it all every day, and maybe that's part of the reason why I don't have Burnout on PC Engine and Turbo. Even though Turbo's hot right now, I don't see it all the time. It's still an exciting frontier for me.
This is what I'll tell you, because I thought about if I had to sell off my collection, what am I gonna keep? I'm gonna keep the games that I'll have an almost impossible time getting back. So if you want to go and sell your Power Blade 2, go ahead. But if you just want the monetary value, sell 30 other games that are worth the same amount and keep the Power Blade 2.
It just didn't matter. It went to a guy that you and I both know.
Oh, you already sold it?
Yeah, it went to a guy that you and I both know.
Thanks for letting me know about the Wally Bear you sold, by the way, but whatever.
Whatever. Lincoln saw it first.
I didn't know you were going to sell all your Nintendo games. You never told me.
Well, I didn't. I'm taking my
time.
My
label could be upgraded, damn it.
I will probably end up with at least 25 that don't go anywhere out of the 105 or so that I have. The Battletoads that my grandma got me for sentimental reasons, even though I hate that game, I'll never get rid of it.
Sure.
My DuckTales, I won't get rid of that. There's ones that I'll keep for, the Rockin' Cats, but the majority of it can just go.
Well, like I said, get a power pack for $160, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you just load the ROMs onto it. I mean, I was lucky when I bought mine. I bought mine used off of, I believe it was Digital Press. I used to trade. People were on Digital Press forum. We're talking like 5 years ago, 6 years. They were awesome because they didn't rake you over the coals. I got my Ninja Gaiden trilogy in the box for probably only like $50 back then, or $60. I don't even know what it's worth now. But I got a power pack. It was used, but it had every game already loaded on it. Most of the Famicom games alphabetized, and I was like, all right, cool, I got it. So yeah, find a power pack.
Yeah, and
the only problem with those is that sometimes they're not always available. They have to make more of them, but
yeah,
it is worth it. You've seen it, we've used it. It's great.
So what I'll probably do is, clear off all that shelf space, use it as a place to put, I'll probably just start displaying my PC Engine collection nicer, so that it's not, everything is just squished into piles and corners.
Yeah, that I can honestly say. I mean, even if I get to a breaking point and sell off, let's just say I keep the 250 hardest to find NES games, knowing that the other 500 I could easily get back within a few months.
Yeah.
I'm never going to sell off the hardest ones because
Sure.
I would, even the amount of space would be smaller, but to me it's like, okay, these, if I ever got back into it, they're there. That's how, but for stuff like the TurboGrafx set, it's so small in comparison. That can all fit in one box.
Yeah.
That can all
But
fit
that's
in
the
that
thing,
box
like,
right
the space that my games are currently taking up now, I could, display some of
Now-
those games outwards, and it looked
Now,
nice.
my box Nintendo games, that's another issue because with the exception of that shelf right there of about 9 games, every box game I have is a duplicate of a loose cart.
Right.
So that's different. So if I were getting the mood, like the ones in the garage that are all duplicates of ones loose, I can have no problem selling most of those, except for the quirky ones that I like. Let's just say I have a boxed, I don't know. Give me an example. I think I have Deja Vu in the box. That's a cool one. But a boxed version of Wheel of Fortune, I don't care about that. I'll sell that and get the $6 for it, or the boxed, box goal I have. You know what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So, but I have those out there that are going to be gone. So it's not, for me, it's not really Burnout. But now it's like my buying has slowed down. Believe it or not, you may not believe that, but don't roll your eyes, but I'm buying less on eBay. Not only because there's less to buy, I have less space. There's less I want.
Yeah.
Because you get to that point, you have a decent amount.
Well, I hate, and this will be, I think we can maybe leave it off on this so we can move on.
Be negative on me.
No, I'm not going to be negative on you. I think part of it is, you bring up an interesting point. I think part of it for me is...
getting older? Is that part of it too?
I'm getting older. I want less.
You want less?
I don't want as much, and this is something that's going to sound weird, but because I talk about, but I'm bipolar, right? Okay, I think a lot of collecting, like when I was younger, when it was when it was more there, like a lot of the early collecting was, manic buying up of this stuff, and as I get older, as these things get more under control, as I take care of myself and things, I just find myself wanting less. The urge to add.
Well,
even my records, which I love, I add like 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 a month. It's not like I'm buying. I used to go to the flea market every weekend, and I wouldn't leave until I found 10 or 15 games that I wanted to add to my collection.
Well, we never spoke about this, but how much of collecting is obsessive compulsive?
Well,
and OCD people. Obsessive compulsive disorder, people that are prone to that or have that, a lot of those people are collectors.
I can't talk for everyone, but I mean, knowing me and my issues, my OCD, my bipolar, I think a lot of my collecting and why I collected for so many things for so long before I put an end to it was obviously part of mental.
Those people that have, the people that own, I don't care if I'm stepping on toes, the people that own 10 Donkey Kong Juniors in the box, that's OCD. Sorry, it is. Yeah. There's no reason to own 10 box complete copies of a game that's hard to find. Or that have like 30 golfs in the box. Sorry, there's no reason for that. Sure. Besides, it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
So I think it is collecting attracts those type of people in general because it's a need to wanting to keep going with something. With collecting, that's really what collecting is. You just keep getting stuff and compiling, and there's really no rhyme or reason. When you really boil it down, there's really no rhyme or reason for me to have all these games. I totally understand that.
I think that's almost what happened when
this is past nostalgia. I'll be the first person. If this was nostalgia, I would have stopped on the games that I had as a kid, which were only about 15.
Yeah.
Add up the games I might have rented as a kid, which were maybe 50 games more. I rented, and then add the games I might have played for my friends. We're up to maybe 100, and then you stop. Those are the games I played as a kid. I played 100 different NES games as a kid. I didn't play 750 games as a kid.
And mentally, I think that's another thing. Like when I go and I look at my NES collection, even the remnants of it as I'm getting rid of it, I'm like, this is just, I didn't need to do this. this is just a memory of a time like, what was that? And then I think that's also probably why I'm so positive about my record collection and my PC Engine collection, because everything was bought with a thought in mind.
I look at this more as an accomplishment at this point versus anything else.
Sure, it is.
And not
fucking perseverance of some sort.
It's perseverance. This isn't some guy off getting an instant. I call instant eBay collections within a year. Oh, I got 700 NES games in a year. Buy them on eBay. You want me to be happy for you? This took. You know how many years of walking around flea markets and thrift stores it took to get this? Going to Funkolands and digging through, and this took a lot. I remember trying to get Bible Adventures for a year just through Funkoland, not even eBay, and going back to the same stores looking for it time and time again until I finally saw that goddamn game on the shelf. It was probably right before I started using eBay. So yeah, it was probably like 98, early 98.
All right.
You know, so.
Now we sound like cranky old timers.
No, I'm not going to be cranky old. The point is I earned this, and that's probably why I'll never probably give it up, because I earned it the hard way.
All right, believe me, I understand.
Whippersnappers.
I never used eBay for an NES game. I use it all the time for PC Engine games.
And
porn.
porn.
All right, moving on. And porn. Cartoon porn.
Okay, that's too much information.